Snow White. Let's get into Disney's Snow White. Opens this weekend. Right now, the range as of Wednesday is 45 to 55. I think that's low. I think that's really low. But here's what I'll give you heading into Snow White weekend in terms of the controversies. And again, I don't think any of the Rachel Zegler stuff matters because
she just said she wants it to be feminist is I think one of her main things that she said.
And you got the people who are like, oh, she doesn't like the political person I like. I don't think any of that matters. I don't think she matters one way or the other. She's not famous enough to be a draw.
No.
And she's also not famous enough to be an anti-draw in a real way. Of course,
she's sort of a nobody to most people.
Yes, which is totally fine for this type of movie.
Yeah.
Because you just want her to be able to look like the cartoon.
Yes.
You don't need her to pull in fans. You're not paying her $25 million. Like, this is not Jennifer Lawrence as Snow White.
No.
Which would be, she'd be scratching her butt and she'd be, making off-color jokes of Snow White. And, that's a different movie.
Yeah.
Rachel Zegler just has to look like the cartoon, and I think she does, and that's all you needed from her. As far as the controversies, the 7 companions.
Yeah.
I think it hurts in the sense that none of the marketing for this movie has been able to use that aspect of the Snow White story in a real way, because at one point
they're afraid of the companions.
They're afraid of the companions. They've flip-flopped so many times in production on what these companions will be. Again, at one point, they were going to be little people. At another point, they were going to be people who were of different sizes. And then they were going to be CGI. So Disney has basically just backdoored into whatever the companions end up being. And they have traditionally been part of the Snow White story that people know, people enjoy.
Yeah.
And they just haven't been able to make use of them in the promotion at all. Sleepy and Doc and the other ones. Dopey. Is there an Angry? Is Angry one of them? Just, I don't see them anywhere in the Snow White promotion. And I think that is a thing that could have drawn in more audience if they had done this movie in a way where those characters could have been part of the marketing.
Now, here's the thing, and I know that De Niro was already tied up with Alto Nights.
I love where you're going already, yeah.
But if he had been able to, the way you fix this is De Niro plays all 7 companions.
100%, yep.
At full height.
Yep.
And he is compensated 7 times.
Yes.
Right?
Of course.
And that's how you get around it.
And he's a producer and exec producer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Snow White lives in a Tribeca loft.
Yes. So at least there's a fantasy sequence where Snow White, she gets bunked on the head, a bird flies in her head, knocked out. She has a dream sequence that Snow White dreams about, oh, if only I could live in Tribeca.
Yeah, absolutely.
That I love that. That is the way that you not save the Snow White movie, because I don't think it needs saving, but save the marketability of the 7 companions.
Yeah.
De Niro playing all 7 parts. That is something that you could promote.
I mean, are you offended by the 7 Paisans?
Snow White and the 7 Paisans? No, I love it. I love it.
As
an
a
Italian
mouthpiece for all Italians.
Yes, I speak for all of us.
All of you.
All Italian Americans and all Italians from Italy, even though I've never been to Italy. I could speak for them.
Yeah.
And Snow White and the 7
I would prefer you did.
Yes. They listen, they've had a lot worse than me speaking for Italy over the years.
That's for sure.
They've had leaders that they would say after the fact, you know what? Pat of the B.O. Boys would have been a better choice.
Yeah.
And I could definitely speak for all Italian Americans and all Italians in Italy and Sicily that Snow White and the 7 Paisans, where Robert De Niro plays all 7 Paisans, is not offensive to us, and I think would have celebrated us, and I think would have connected with the audience in a big way, and would have been something you could have marketed in a big, big way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That I do think that is the issue. It's not the controversy over this. I think it's the fact that they are completely missing from the marketing campaign. That is a problem, and it lessens the Snow White IP.
Yeah, because if it's just Snow White, what's different than Sleeping Beauty? Because what was missing with Sleeping Beauty is she didn't have 7 companions.
Mm-mm.
She didn't have even one companion. She had some prince that was like, let me kiss up all on you.
Right. And she's unconscious the entire movie, Sleeping Beauty. She's out for most of it.
Pretty much most of it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I agree, without the 7 companions, what Snow White is, it's her, it's the birds.
It's the apple, it's the mirror.
Yeah, the iconic dress. Snow White has things going for her, but it is her interaction with those 7 companions that was such a big part of selling the story.
Yeah.
And you just haven't been able to do the big installations where it's Rachel Zegler, because that's the thing. If Robert De Niro played all 7 parts, you could have done the live red carpets where De Niro is out there on the red carpet with her, and then he runs out of, changes and comes back as another companion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it would have got huge press coverage.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue with this movie. And obviously those companions, especially if De Niro was playing all of them, reach a different audience. Like, that gets the guys, that gets the young boys in a way that I think right now they're not hitting. Obviously, this movie was always going to live and die based on, do young girls want to see it? But they could have had more quadrants if De Niro was playing the 7 paisans.
I mean, and because, okay, also, so if you couldn't get De Niro, like, these are 7 parts that you could have cast with people that younger people would want to see.
Yes.
And so
7 influencers.
I mean, I was going right there, right? iShowSpeed.
Yep.
The Paul brothers.
Yeah.
KSI.
KSI,
right?
Yeah.
Like,
get all of them. Everyone from those podcast networks.
Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast could have been one of the 7 influencers.
You're telling me that these monstrosities of CGI are any less disconcerting than Mr. Beast?
Yeah.
And yet Mr. Beast would bring in so much audience.
Yes.
I mean, he's one of the most unappealing looking people on the planet.
Yep.
Yet he gets billions of views.
Yep.
So you put him in, and there's adults who'd be like, "Oh God, CGI has gotten terrible."
Right.
But it's like, no, that's a real person that people watch.
That's
every day of their lives.
That's the most viewed person in the world.
Is this thing.
Yeah.
And
that
so,
you think is bad CGI.
Yeah. And so that's another way you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I think that would have been huge. And again,
I mean, Hawk 2 before everything happened. You get Hawk 2 in there because it doesn't. I mean,
you would have filmed this before her meme coin blew up.
Yeah.
And she had to go into, is she in prison or wherever it is she is? Prison,
she's
mansion,
in
hiding, wherever she is. Hawk 2 would have filmed her part in Snow White before that happened.
Yeah. And like, listen, the companions don't have to be all men.
Yeah.
2025.
Right. And you know what? You give some old time influencers, get Chocolate Rain, get Tay Zonday in there as one of the 7 influencers.
Get the Rhett and Link. Get those 2 guys.
Rhett and Link.
Get Smosh.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I think Smosh auditioned.
Get Fred.
What? I mean, are we putting Annoying Orange in this now? I think
that's for us. That's for us.
All that's for us. I think you get one from that generation of influencers, but not more than one.
Yeah.
It's got to be mainly focused on iShowSpeed,
yeah.
KS1. So, that's. I think that is. Any of those would have been good. Whether it's the 7 influencers, the 7 paisans, all played by De Niro. The fact that the 7 companions are not a part of this is, I think, the problem going to this opening weekend.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a major audience that is saying, I will not take my 7-year-old daughter to Snow White because the actress doesn't like the guy that I have a sign for on my front lawn. I think there are those people, but they weren't going anyway.
Yeah, they're not.
They were busy
That is
anyway.
the thing. They are not going anywhere.
They were not
You're
going
not going to
anywhere.
get them to go see this anyway, no
Yeah.
matter what you did.
Yeah. So all that said, I think that the estimates are a little low because I think pre-sales and tracking on this movie are not going to be the big barometer, because I think also pre-sales are starting to become something that is less important. And for a movie like this,
For certain movies.
a movie like this, there's
Yeah.
not the I got to buy him now because I'm going to be spoiled, and there's not the I got to buy it now because all I'm hearing is that this is going to be sold out.
So Mufasa opened to 35.
Yeah.
And now it's by no means a hit the level Lion King
No.
was, but
But
it had pause.
it had pause.
So
100%.
this thing is going to open higher than that, even in the low estimates.
Yes.
And if it can have anything like the legs of Mufasa,
Right.
this is in a good position.